Donna, I'm interested in how you eliminated the work orders. So why did you do that work? Why did you think eliminating work orders was a good idea?
Well, there's a couple different reasons, Brian. Number one, with the current process of the work orders, we were tracking labor and our operators had to constantly be logging in and out. And we would find that it wasn't unusual that there were errors, that they'd forget to log out and you'd come in the next morning and they'd have all this extra hours on there. There was just a lot of wasteful transactions and time going into it when we really want them to be producing product that's going to be used for customer demand. On top of that, we had also already implemented, or were working on implementing, in the machine shop at least, going to a kanban or an EPI type system where we produce every part at every interval. So we didn't need a work order to really tell the operators what to do because we have these EPI boards that were supposed to do that. Couple different ways. We actually have different pockets in the business where things are done a little bit differently. And we mapped out, the current state of, what are the work orders, how is it all working? And then we put together and said, okay, why do we even have work orders? What is the reason for it? And mapped that out on a piece of paper and then talked about, okay, do we really need to do all this stuff? Do we really need them for these reasons? And if so, how could you still satisfy that reason but do it without a work order? And basically came up with what a future state would look like without work orders. We then spent a lot of time putting together simulations where we would literally go out on the floor and say, okay, how would this work? I don't have a work order, so I'm the operator. How do I know what to produce? Okay, I'm going to produce this next card because it's the next one scheduled on the EPI. Okay, now what? I made the parts. Okay, well now what happens? And just sort of floated all the way through the process, all the way to the part is stocked and put into the stock room. Just so we can identify, how's this really going to work? What are the things we didn't think about? And try to incorporate those into the final solution. We then spent a lot of time working with IT to understand from the financial standpoint how things get booked when you do use a work order, because we wanted to make sure our financial statements at the end of the day, my D&E wasn't changing. It's still going to be the same, and I needed to make sure I didn't blow up my financial statements. So we went through that and identified, accounting-wise, if we don't have the work order, how am I still going to capture the data I need to in the system to make sure I do have an accurate financial statement that conforms to U.S. GAAP. Once we felt that we went through all the work, had identified a process, and felt it was ready to flip the switch, we flipped the switch. We then had weekly meetings. We continued weekly meetings for the next 90 days where people are able to bring things to those meetings, the things that maybe weren't working well, or things that, oops, we missed this, didn't come up in the simulation, so how do we address this? And as a team sort of came up with solutions to identify and resolve each of those issues. Well, the benefit to us have been obviously a productivity improvement, not having people logging in and out of work orders for data that we're not using. It's a lot more understandable for people to understand when they're looking at their financial statements and what's going on. Really just getting people more involved, more engaged, a lot more empowerment of managing and scheduling their work, having these kanban tools, letting them know what needs to be done, and raising their hand when they see something that's strange. Definitely smaller lot sizes, especially in the machine shop. In the past, you might have a work order for 200 pieces, but now you might have 4 kanban cards, each worth of 50. So you're seeing a huge velocity increase of material through the shop and a lot less batching. But once we got through the first month and things started to really smooth out and the batching disappeared and everything in the bottleneck disappeared, it became a lot smoother and a lot better. I like it so much better. I mean, they're not having to worry about clocking in and out of orders. We're really finding that by going more to a kanban system that we've really lowered the water level. And we're really now seeing other types of rocks and other things that the teams need to work on. And they're just feeling, more empowered to help give solutions and ideas to now deal with those other issues.